All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 354 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. If this is your first time here, welcome. Hopefully, you will enjoy the show. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this content, and also share it. Let other people know what we're doing over here. Today, we're going to talk about a new era of Falcons football. This is going to be episode 354, if you don't know by now. New era of Falcons football, it definitely could be a generational shift. If you look at the guys that are on the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, you see that there's a couple of quarterback tandems that I'm going to talk about shortly. If you're not listening on the visual platforms, you're listening on audio, I welcome you and I thank you. And if you don't know anything about that, you can find me on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and Anchor. So all those areas of the podcast, you can find me over there, or basically your favorite podcast platform, where you can listen to this on a daily basis. Let's go ahead and get into this new era of Falcons football. This is a generational, a real generational shift as a fan base. If you have kids that are under the age of 10, I think 10 is a good look. So if you have kids or you have a niece or a nephew that are into football like that, and you want to get them into football, or if they're into football and they really don't understand what has happened with the whole Matt Ryan or the Michael Vick, or even you can even go back and say Chris Chandler situation when they were quarterbacks for the Falcons. This is a good time because with Ritter and Drake London, which pretty much everybody who's been watching football nowadays, these are the guys that you're going to remember. Whatever happens, good, bad, or indifferent. This is a good time to get those kids in, or people who are new to football in, to have those guys understand a whole new chapter in Falcons football. Those type of chapters could be, a really big deal for someone's perception of the sport of football. I know for me, when I first remember back in the late 80s when I was a kid, and I remember watching Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, I thought it was the greatest thing ever to throw a football over the middle or throw a football further, down the sideline and watch Jerry Rice catch the ball. I thought that was something phenomenal. And, some kids like my age at the time, I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old. I did not really understand, the whole concept of football. I learned as I went, and then I realized that, hey, the Falcons have a team. I mean, Atlanta has a team, which is the Falcons, and that's, me being from Georgia, I decided to cling on to the home team, and I never looked back ever since. And that's when, the Michael Haynes of the world, and, back in 93, that's when I really, I remember watching him in 91, but back in 93, that's when I really jumped on board. And I think this is a good time for kids who may not know, or people who may not know too much about football, to jump in, because you got young stars, not just London and Ritter coming in. You have Ebikete, you can even go to the last draft class with Kyle Pitts, Taquan Graham, Richie Grant. You can even go back further than that with AJ Terrell. You have guys that are young that are building a nucleus where the fan base, even though we're not even talking, we could talk about age or not. If you're young to football, based on your exposure to it, you could watch this team grow and be a bigger deal in their lives as far as learning and watching and celebrating the game of football. And it just makes it all better if this team can build something to where they are, champions of some sort. We all watch what Matt Ryan and Julio Jones did, and then the rest of the Falcons under that in that era, what they've done. They've done everything possible. They've done everything possible to win at the Atlanta Falcons a Super Bowl. And I know people want to talk about what happened with 28-3 or whatever the case may be, but I want you guys to understand they've done everything they were supposed to do. All we had to do was just call the right plays. Yes, it goes deeper than that, but that's the basic on the surface gist of everything. Just call the right plays. Atlanta has a Super Bowl ring. Now, we can go further back with Michael Vick, how that went about, and, no need to really go, really deep into the legal stuff. But you got to understand, we made it to the NFC Championship with Michael Vick. So we were a game away, basically 2 games away of winning the Super Bowl. And once again, you can go even further back with Chris Chandler. We can talk about 98, where we actually had a pretty good chance of winning that Super Bowl. It's just that the Broncos wanted it a little bit more. I mean, it wasn't as bad as you want to make it seem out to, well, some people make it seem out to be. It was a solid game on both sides. It's just that you're dealing with the legend with John Elway and Terrell Davis and company. You only can hold your own butt for so much against those guys. But nevertheless, you see the era of the ups, and even you can talk about the downs if you want to, the Jim Morris and the Bobby Petrino times of the Falcons. But you don't really want to go that far. But I will say this. This is a really good time because what these guys have done is continue to pave the way to get better. And we started to get better coaching. We started to get better players. And if anything indicates what I see now, I have a feeling that this new era of Falcons with this young talent and this the drive to win and want to be great could possibly make something really, really special. And possibly get us over that hump to finally call ourselves champions. And I know that's really far-fetched. I don't know when that's going to happen. It could take years. The process of winning a Super Bowl is a long and tedious process. You also have to understand it's very hard to get back there if you don't make it there a second time. If you make it there a second time at all. It's a hard process, So you look at the Chiefs when they won their Super Bowl. It took them years to get to that point where Pat Mahomes was there. The Buffalo Bills look like they're trying to get to that point. Even with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was like, okay, they got Tom Brady and automatically won the Super Bowl. But you also have to understand what all happened between that and 2002. You're almost talking about 20 years. So it's nothing like it's just automatically guaranteed. The Rams, which I don't want to talk about them, they went through some stuff. Look at the Packers. The Packers won one in 96. Then they turned, I think it was 96. Yeah, 96 they won. They turned back around and won in 2010. Man, that was, 14, 15 years? And as good as Aaron Rodgers is and as good as that team, but they haven't been back since. But with all that being said, they have built generational fans throughout that entire time. All of these teams have. I mean, the same people who was rooting for the Jim Kelly Bills, they're probably still around, but you don't know how many new fans that looked at Buffalo, and you hear my son in the background, you know how that is. You don't know how it was after those 4 Super Bowl losses, and nobody really talked about the Bills pretty much until Marshawn Lynch got there for a while, and then he left. And then now you're looking at what they're doing now with Josh Allen. Do you know how long that was? They went to 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? So they still haven't been to the Super Bowl, but you understand the generational, fans that have been turning over to actually be fans all of a sudden. So what I'm saying is, like, we already have an issue with the fan base. We already know how it is in the Falcons fan base. And that's fine. I get it. I'm not here to sit here and talk about that again. But when you're looking at the generations that come up, which, it is what it is, we all started somewhere. And unfortunately, the minority has the loudest voice. But the minority with the loudest voice can be ignored. And I think one thing about with people who are first coming into watching football, or first now getting into football, or they're young and new, they don't get into that. They always focus on the players. It's us, the older cats that are actually listening to what other people say. But, I've watched, like, my nieces and nephews watch the Julio Joneses and the Matt Ryans of the world. They don't know nothing about the slander that those guys get. And these, my nieces and nephew now, they're 18, 19 years old. So you have to understand, back in 2008, they were 9 and 10 years old. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's about when do you want to start, watching the shift of a generation. And I don't think that it's going to be a situation where the fan base is going to end up being, like, automatically toxic or anything. I don't think that. But I will say this. I love the personnel that we have so they won't be as toxic. So I think it's very hard to jump on and slander a brand new group of guys that are core nucleuses of a team. When you have a quarterback and a receiver and a new running back, you got to understand, we have a new quarterback, a new wide receiver, a couple of new wide receivers, that are in the fold right now for Atlanta. We also have a new running back that's probably going to be a new defensive faces. Like I said, outside of Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett, and Jake Matthews, everybody else is fairly new. Even the AJ Terrells of the world, he was second or third year. If you're a new person watching the Falcons and trust and believe, and I didn't say this earlier, trust and believe we're going to have new faces watch this team. Some people who did not care about Matt Ryan or Julio Jones or whatever, they're going to hear about a new name that's going to be on this team, and it's going to catch their eye. And, I'm not trying to be funny or nothing, but when you look at a guy like Drake London, some people are going to look at him as a guy with it factor. Ritter, another guy with it factor. Evan Kete, it factor. Troy Anderson's another guy. These guys not only are here to play football, they have a somewhat of an attraction to them for not only people to just watch football, but see where their careers go. You just have to be a likable person, and so far, I don't see where any of these guys are not likable. We all like Michael Vick for various reasons. We like Matt Ryan for various reasons, and we dislike those guys for various reasons. But one thing that you could say, Michael Vick had this thing about him that attracted all fans to him. Algie Crumpler was another guy, a quiet guy, but he had those ways about him that attracted you to see what he's going to do on the field. But do we need to say anything about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones? Love and hate Matt Ryan all you want, but I know many people really love this guy as a quarterback. And you could tell that a lot of people love this guy as a quarterback because since he's been gone, not many people have been saying bad things about him. They actually miss him low-key, but don't want to say anything. And you know how it is with Julio Jones. We love Julio Jones, but he fell off even though he talked bad about the organization and the fans, but that's another story for another day. Not much of the fans, right? But you got a group of guys in now, as of right now, that they come in. They've been with the Falcon organization for about a month now, and look like they're a bunch of stand-up guys. Look like they're guys that just want to play ball and want to be successful. They're quiet guys. They want to come in. They want to be successful. And with that being said, what more could you ask for? I don't see where there's a downside to this. And that's the attraction that brings people to the team that may not even want to look at the Falcons at one point because, okay, we see the same faces, we see the same names, we hear the same names, we see the same faces, and all we can think about is the shortcomings of the Falcons. With this brand new look of this team, it's going to give some people optimism. Some people may come back and watch. Some people that didn't want to watch maybe see somebody like a Ritter or a London or Ebikete and be like, or Tyler Algier and be like, you know what? I want to see what these guys are about. So there's going to be a big shift in Falcons football, especially, I'm telling you, especially win, lose, or draw. But the thing about it is, if they're very competitive, right, baby? If they're very competitive and they lose, people are going to watch. If they're very competitive and win, more people are going to watch. If they just start running roughshod and blowing teams out, which I doubt will happen, everybody's going to watch. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to watch. So we have to understand what we're doing here. I mean, I talked about this a while back about building a fan base, teach one to be one, teach someone to be a Falcons fan. And, all the old jokes, those jokes are done with. I mean, you still going to you still want to troll by talking about 28-3 where pretty much nobody on the team that experienced that. You want to talk about other shortcomings of the Falcons team where nobody really experienced that? I mean, we just had to think about this for a second. You got some guys who are still trying to critique and talk bad about the Falcons just because of the fact that, we picked the wrong quarterback or we didn't get anything on the offensive line. Now, mind you, the same people didn't say nothing about the offensive line were the same was talking about the pass rush, and now we got a pass rush. Now they're going to jump to the offensive line. Let's move that goalpost. Literally moving the goalpost. So with these new people are coming in, we can sit back and watch later on 10, 15 years down the road. God forbid all of us are still here. we'll still be down here talking about what happened when this transition changed and talk about the success or lack thereof success of what happened with this team. But I just have a gut feeling, just like I feel about my Georgia Southern Eagles. I feel that these guys are going to be successful. I think there's a really big, shift that's going on, not only just with the fan base, but with this team in general. And I feel that we're going to be in some successful and some fun battles with other teams in the NFL. I mean, you got to understand, this is only the beginning. They were able to make all these new moves with the cap space they have. And next year, do you know what the cap space is going to look like? You're talking about over $100 million, minimum. So just watch what this team do and enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with being positive. We know we have negatives on the team. How long do you want to talk about that? Do I talk about it enough? Maybe not. But why? Because you got a bunch of new guys here. We don't have Dan Quinn anymore. We don't have Matt Ryan anymore. We don't have Julio Jones anymore. We don't even have Calvin Ridley right now. You know what I'm saying? We don't have Desmond Trufant. We don't have, Rocky anymore. We don't have that team anymore. We have a totally different team now. So let's act like it. Maybe I'm tripping. Let me know what y'all think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys. We're already at 1130 when it comes to subscribers. 1,130 subscribers on YouTube. Various number of subscribers on the podcast avenues. I have like 6 or 7 different avenues, so I don't know how many subscribers are on those, but you guys are making this go. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you guys for sharing, hitting that little button, and just sending this podcast to someone. Ask them what they think about it, and if they consider to subscribe, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for the great comments in the comment section as well. You guys are great. You guys, I can't say enough. You guys are phenomenal. And without you guys, I wouldn't be here doing this because you guys make this go. Y'all really do. If you want to check out all the links down in the description, you can hit all my links. It shows you everything as far as donations and or just subscribing and sharing, helping this podcast grow. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. Like I said, I can't see where this is going. I can't see where it's going, but I got a feeling that it's going somewhere, and it's going to be something very positive. Shout out to Michael Vick and LG Crumpler. Shout out to Chris Chandler and Terrence Mathis. Everybody's under that umbrella. Thank you for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. You guys did great, even though all the shortcomings that has happened. But we have a new era with Drake London and Ritter. Desmond Ritter, and all these other guys, Arnold Ebiketie, Tyler Algier, we got a new era. So we're going to, follow that and see how it goes. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thank you guys for watching once again. Thank you guys for listening once again. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.